Alright, so here are the supplements. These are just some of the supplements that I took. Before I go into each one in particular, um, I just have to say that what I said about nocebo and placebo is really important when you're taking this stuff. A lot of times I took these things and didn't really feel anything. Other times I got anxiety producing results some of the time and others, and you know, a lot of it I didn't feel. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take any of this stuff, but I'm just going to kind of go through things, talk about my experience, and hopefully, you get something out of it. Over here, we've got, this is chamomile, valerian roots, passion flower. These are like these herbs that are supposed to help, relax you. And, I took them, and chamomile often comes in a tea. That's one of those things you can drink to help you relax. And sometimes I would drink that to help me relax, but sometimes it really wouldn't work. I didn't really feel like it really did much. And same for valerian and passion flower. There's CDP choline right here, and this is basically, it's in the B vitamin. Choline is part of the B vitamin complex. If you get a B vitamin complex, you'll see choline in there. And CDP choline is a special form of choline that passes the blood-brain barrier. Okay, and it's more expensive than regular choline. And like I said, I don't know if I really ever felt anything from that. Sulbutiamine. This is it's sort of like a vitamin B3, but it's made to pass the blood-brain barrier, so it's a synthetic drug. You don't need a prescription for it, but these are used by people to help them focus and concentrate on tests and things like that. So I bought it hoping to help my concentration, but didn't really notice much. Piracetam is also supposed to help concentration and the mind, stimulate the mind. It's like a B6 that's synthesized, and it's human made. It's a designer drug to help a B6 to pass through the blood-brain barrier. So you have a blood-brain barrier, which is something that keeps things out of the brain, and these can pass through that and get into your brain directly. This is Picamillon. This is actually GABA combined with it's GABA combined with a B vitamin, and it's also another designer drug that is supposed to help relax you. This is actually a prescription drug in Russia, and some company in Russia actually owns Picamillon. But Picamillon is, I think I actually felt like I got some relaxation out of Picamillon, and that obviously can be of help to people with DP. I'm not necessarily recommending it, but I think a few times, when I took this, I felt some relaxation from it and a little less anxiety in general. And so that's Picamillon. It's a prescription drug in Russia, but not in the United States. But I can only get it online. Then there's Piracetam, which is like the real most famous nootropic. And all these are kind of considered nootropics. These guys are here: CDP choline, sulbutiamine, pyretinol, Picamillon, and Piracetam. And they're supposed to help the mind sort of, compete better and help the mind just, for if you're taking a test in college or something like that. And I just took it thinking maybe it would help me with DP. Didn't really feel anything from Piracetam. Picamillon was probably the one I felt the most from, and it helped me relax. Okay, so over here, right here, we've got some Ayurvedic herbs. Ayurveda is like an ancient Indian medicinal therapy, and it's a type of medicine that's been around for thousands of years. Ayurveda in India, and Gotu kola is part of that. Bacopa and ashwagandha, and these are used in Ayurveda for a number of different purposes, for overall health and things like that. And there have been some studies on Bacopa saying that it's got some properties similar to lorazepam, which is actually over here. So that's a prescription drug, lorazepam, also known as Ativan, is supposed to help people relax. It's an anti-anxiety drug. And with Bacopa, it's also supposed to, they say it's also helps with mental alertness and helps you focus. I take it and I can not feel anything when I take it. And so with these Ayurvedic herbs, I mean, it's the tests that have been done on it, it's real inconclusive as to whether they really work or not. And so when I went to the ER once, I got prescription drug, lorazepam or Ativan, and that did help me relax. But this is also one of the more addictive drugs, and I kept a few left over because I just didn't want to take them all. And lorazepam is supposed to be anti-anxiety or anxiolytic, they call it. That's the anti-anxiety term, anxiolytic. And it helped. It definitely helped. I went to the ER once because I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. Of course, I wasn't having a heart attack. And they gave me this. And they actually put it into me with an IV when I was actually in the ER. And then they gave me this. And it does help you relax, but it can be addictive. So I only used it for that one panic attack I had that sent me to the ER. Now, okay, I've got, you might be wondering why I have yerba mate tea right here. I used to make this just like coffee, and it's got sort of caffeine properties in it. It's actually got caffeine in it, and it's also got something called theobromine, which is something that's similar to caffeine. It's a stimulant, and it's an interesting drug. Theobromine is also found in chocolate. These are called Chamomile. This is like cocoa extract. And theobromine is supposed to help with mental alertness and stuff like that. It's kind of like caffeine, and the problem is this stuff can increase anxiety. Taking this has caffeine, and this has caffeine too. I wouldn't recommend caffeine now. I got off caffeine, and that really helped, and I experienced some withdrawal symptoms, but it's just worth getting off caffeine. So I wouldn't recommend these guys and the Ayurvedic herbs. I didn't really notice much. Also, something called theanine, which is an amino acid. It's supposed to help you relax. It's found naturally in Japanese green tea, along with caffeine. So that's why Japanese green tea, it doesn't cause the jitteriness of coffee because it contains both L-theanine and caffeine. So caffeine is a stimulant. L-theanine is a relaxing amino acid. And these are chewables. Theanine did seem to help me relax somewhat. So if you have anxiety, you can take theanine, and that can help you. But always check with your doctor before you take anything. And this is theanine serine. It has a stuff called Relora in it. Relora is some sort of proprietary blend of something from China, some herb from China, and this made me feel really weird. This actually, a theanine with the Relora. The Relora actually put me to sleep a couple of times, like in the middle of the day. And it really made me feel kind of heaviness in my limbs, and definitely was sort of made me feel anxiety, actually. So, don't recommend that. Let's see here. And this is lion's mane, which is actually an extract from a mushroom from China. And lion's mane is another nootropic, or it's a mental enhancing drug that there have been some studies done on, and supposedly it helps stimulate nerve growth factor in the brain. I don't know how conclusive those studies are, but I bought it, and it's really not something you really notice or feel any difference from. I think there might be some long-term benefit from it, but once again, that's sort of inconclusive. So I took that, and the big point I'm trying to make about all this stuff is that it didn't help me cure DP. A few things kind of helped me feel a little less anxiety, but overall, if you're looking for a cure just from this stuff, you're probably not going to find it. Holy basil is an anti-stress herb, along with eleuthero root, holy basil. These are sort of anti-stress herbs. Another one would be like, let's see, rhodiola, sometimes used for depression, is another herb. I took it, and it's supposed to make you feel a little better and sort of, help your mind and body against stress. But, I don't really know how much it really helped. There's green tea, which I mentioned before. It's supposed to help you, just help the mind in general and focus. But, you know, drinking green tea would be better, but it contains caffeine, and I don't recommend caffeine consumption if you have DP. Let's see. L-Carnitine and L-Tyrosine are sort of more, they're more well tested. I know they're oftentimes in cognitive enhancing supplements, but when you take this stuff, you don't necessarily feel great the first time you take it or anything. A lot of things don't make you really feel any better. Vinpocetine is something that helps brain metabolism, but I took it and didn't really feel much. And I took Chromium Picolinate because apparently when I was reading about atypical depression or dysthymia being related to DP and stuff, this supposedly helps certain aspects of atypical depression, but once again, it's kind of placebo effect for most of this stuff. So what do I really recommend, or what do I take that is really more legitimate? Basically, fish oil, salmon oil, which contains DHA, which is a fatty acid that your brain needs, is extremely important to take. DHA is super, super important to take. Check it with your doctor before you try anything, but fish oil is really important to take, especially salmon oil pills and things like that. Really good for your brain. They've done studies on children, firstborns, apparently get more DHA from their mother, so they tend to be smarter because they have that. And it's something like a quarter of your brain is composed of DHA. So something called the myelin sheath in your brain, which is what makes you learn a skill, is like basically your nerves get covered in this fatty layer of myelin, which is created out of stuff you get from fish oil. And when you have better myelin in your brain, it helps protect from neurodegenerative diseases, and also helps you learn a skill. When you learn a skill, basically certain neurons are being covered in a fatty layer of omega-3 fatty acids, and it helps you learn things. And it's extremely important for your brain to get fish oil. Okay, so I take that. Taking this a number of times a day is great. It's also good for your heart. Then a multivitamin that has a full B vitamin complex is important. Getting B vitamins is really good. So just having a really comprehensive multivitamin with B vitamins. And I take this. Sometimes you can take them a couple times a day. Multivitamins. Then there's flaxseed oil, which is also good. It's also a way of getting your omega-3. It's not quite as good as fish oil for omega-3, but it also has omega-6 and 9. So it's sort of balanced with that. The problem is that these omega-6 fatty acids and 9s you can sometimes get from food, and oftentimes in our high bread, our sort of bread culture with all this bread and stuff, you get a lot of those. So it's actually better to take the fish oil, but flaxseed oil is something that people also use to get their omega-3s and DHA. And so that's really, what I recommend is a multi and fish oil. Get a really good B complex and getting your other minerals such as zinc and magnesium and things like that. And, what's really important is that you eat well, which I'll talk about in the next section. But for the most part, I would not waste your time with really these sort of advanced supplements. They're really sort of more of a waste of money, in my opinion. And I've spent a lot of money. This is just a small sampling of what I've taken. But, the stuff I talked about before in the earlier parts of the program, that's really what's going to cure you, and diet, which I'll talk about next.